What's the actor's life all about, man? I mean, you've been walking it now for a while,
Yeah.
from job to job. What's it like?
What's it like?
That's one of the themes I want to touch upon.
Yeah. What's it like? It's, oh boy. It's not, I don't know. I don't want to get all philosophical about the shit, but it's really about, it's not very different. I used to think that it was very, very different, a lot different than a person who works 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I don't want to say that they're the same. It is. It's very different. But they are the same in that you are going to go through highs and lows. You're going to go through bumps in the road. Um, it's going to throw you a couple of curveballs, and you're just not going to know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is you have to be someone who's going to be okay with some downtime. And there are those of us who are not okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when you're not gonna be working, you're not gonna be doing anything, and that's when panic can set in, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when you can go to your head, and you can start to question and doubt yourself about what it is that you're doing, what it is you're not doing. Am I doing this wrong? You can become insecure. You can become afraid. All of those things, and um, I think it's really what it's about is learning how to negotiate. And those, first of all, in those times, you're going to get to know yourself and become intimately acquainted with yourself in a very real way.
Right.
Um, because most people just don't do alone and don't do stillness very well. Um, and those are the times where if you can allow yourself to, where you're going to do, there's the potential there for a lot of growth.
Yeah.
If you can not go crazy. And so to answer the question, what is the actor's life about? Again, I come back to this word, and I always come back to it constantly. It's just about trust. Trusting that you're gonna work, or something's going to happen that's gonna put you in the place where you need to be, so that you can work and you can show what it is that you do. Just be prepared for that moment to happen. When that moment does come, be prepared, be ready, because they don't come that often. And when they do, you want to be able to perform it, and you want to be able to do a great job. Um, it's also for me, it's a lot of times, and it's a cliche. It's not about the destination; it's about the journey, and it's kind of true, you know. It's kind of true. There's a lot of journey before you get to the destination. And even when you get to the destination, it's really not the destination anyway. It's a stopover to the next place, especially in this business.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you get on a series and you're there for 10 years, and that just doesn't happen that often, not even for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have these sort of, way stations along the way. You move from job to job, working with different people.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not the type of person that likes that kind of change, this might not be the business for you, because the more things, this business and being an actor in this business is about change. There's always something.
Mm-hmm.
Something is changing. Nothing is really ever staying the same. You're not staying the same. The roles you're playing are not the same. The people that you're working with are not the same. It's different. It's a different way of life. It's a different existence. You have to really be okay. You have to be a person who's okay in their own skin to a certain degree. You just do.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it can be difficult. And even the best of us don't handle those times in the best ways.
Mm-hmm.
You go a little crazy, you go a little nuts, and there's even value in that. You're going to learn something there. It's an interesting question, and it's different for everyone. So, and I'm generalizing, and I'm actually just, I'm just giving you the answer that what I can only answer for myself. When you say what's the actor's life about, I can tell you what my actor's life was about.
Correct. That's what I'm asking.
And my actor's life has been just a series of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, most of them there have been probably more downs than ups.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be okay with those. You have to be okay with those downs. You just have to. You have to find a way through them. And I think that that's true. That's where I relate it to people who are not in the business at all. You're going to have them anyway. Yeah. They can just be more severe in this business because it's not easy. You know, when the car needs work and, you know, you're eating tuna and pasta for the 4th time in a week and you got rent due and you're working a part-time job and it's not cutting it and you maybe need to get another one. You know, I'm sounding like such a fucking downer here, but
I don't think so, because that's the truth. I mean,
it is the truth. I mean, I see one of the things.
There's no judgment in what you're saying. It's just what it is.
No, I know, but I don't want to come off as you know, someone who's discouraging anyone, because that's why I say that you better have some passion and some love for this, or because it's just too hard not to. And then everybody's journey that was my experience. I saw actors that came into town the same time as me, and 5 years later, boom, they were on their way, and they're still on their way.
Yeah.
They had a very different experience than I did. Very different. Was it better? I don't know. When I look at their lives, you know, I'm okay with how this is happening for me, and it's still a process. I'm not home. There's no you know, destination really. I'm just okay. I'm good with where I am. It's just different for everyone. It's the thing that I remember as a young actor, I used to resent so much because I had to work so hard. I would see these actors roll in town from anywhere in the country, or even European actors, and they would come in and they came from wealthy families. Mm-hmm. They didn't have to work. They didn't have a car. They had a car, and you have to have a car in Los Angeles. They didn't have to worry about car payments. Mm-hmm. All they did was go to acting classes and wait for it to happen. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm one of those people. I'm a firm believer in humility, probably because I've had so many lessons in it. That you know, a certain amount of struggle is actually good for you. I think it's really good.
We just got a comment thanking you for how honest you're being, and it's very inspiring. So.
Oh, cool. You're welcome. I'm glad. I mean, you know, for what it's worth.
The other theme, and I do think it's worth quite a bit, because this is something that resonates with a lot of people that are living circumstances that are similar, you know, similar in some ways to their own circumstances.
Right.
And B, it sort of helps to clear the smoke around this notion that it's a you just show up and do it, and it's very glamorous, and you know, it's all about something exterior rather than it just being really about an interior process where you just gotta want it, do it, care for it, love it, and there's a lot of discipline involved, both self-discipline and professional discipline. Mm-hmm. You know, so what you're saying helps set the tone that it's an actual job.
It is an actual job. There's no doubt about it.
Even when you're saying not being hired is a job in itself.
I think that those are the times when you'll learn the most.
I mean, that's when you're out there beating the bushes, looking for representation, changing representation.
That's right.
I don't know, thinking maybe you should take a class doing something. I don't know, whatever it is.
Whatever it is. Those are the things.
Still work.
Those are the things that will test your mettle. And I don't know, you know, and not to get on a soapbox, but we're so, especially nowadays, it's about instant gratification. We want the goodies now. We want the success now, the money, those, I'm grateful for each and every one of those struggles, and there were some doozies, man. There were some doozies, because they taught me something about myself I never would have learned. I just wouldn't have. I just wouldn't have learned. And ultimately, those things, you know, and ironically, and in some ways, those things served the very craft that I was trying to become better at anyway. So they work for you in that way as well. Mm-hmm. They do. It works for you. It makes you a better person. It makes you better at whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, it makes you the man you are today.
It makes you the person that you want to be. You know, as I said before, if it never happened, and if it didn't happen, I would always walk away and be grateful that it led me on. It led me in a path that made me question a lot of things about myself, and in terms of who I wanted to be and who I was, and things like that. And in that sense, you can't fail. There is no failing. You know, those are pearls. Those are like, that's wisdom, and that's something that you're getting from life that a lot of people don't. You know, they go from high school to college. Next thing you know, they're on to law school, and then boom, they're practicing law. And their experience of life and their experience, their awareness of themselves, I don't think is going to be the same as someone who's actually had to, had some struggle and had to sort of like look at themselves in a way, and a very honest way, that say most of our society doesn't.